Christine destroys Kody and Robyn over leaked scene TLC tried to bury. Shocking footage revealed. Hello friends, I am Elena, welcome to my channel. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Christine Brown has never been one to hold back, especially in recent years as the fractures in the Brown family have gone from private tension to public disaster. But now, a shocking turn of events has rocked fans of Sister Wives. A leaked scene that TLC allegedly tried to bury has finally surfaced, and Christine is speaking out with full force. Her reaction? Nothing short of explosive. What's in the footage? Why did the network want it hidden? And how did Christine use it to absolutely destroy Kody and Robyn? For years, Christine stood by in a plural marriage where she increasingly felt unheard and invisible. Though she once tried to make it work, viewers watched her emotional spiral as Kody became more focused on Robyn, his fourth and most controversial wife. But nothing could prepare anyone for what this unseen footage finally revealed. The leaked footage, reportedly filmed during the thick of the COVID pandemic, shows Kody and Robyn making comments that deeply undermine the other wives, especially Christine. The most damning moment? Kody laughing off Christine's emotional needs, calling them exhausting, while Robyn nods and smirks in agreement. The two then casually discuss how Christine was never really committed to the family structure. Though that might not sound shocking on the surface, the dismissive tone and the smugness with which it was delivered left fans furious. In a private interview that has now been shared publicly following the leak, Christine finally lets loose. For the first time, she directly accuses Kody and Robyn of gaslighting not just her, but the entire Brown family. She says the clip is just a fraction of the disrespect she experienced behind closed doors. They always made it seem like I was the problem, Christine states. But this clip, this proves what I was really up against. Kody didn't want a plural family. He wanted Robyn, and the rest of us were supposed to just play along. Christine goes on to say that TLC's decision to keep this footage hidden for so long only fed into a false narrative. Fans were led to believe that Christine's exit from the family was sudden and even impulsive. But now, she says, the truth is coming to light, and it's uglier than anyone imagined. According to sources close to production, the footage was intentionally left out of the final edit of Season 17 due to concerns about optics and how fans would perceive Kody and Robyn. There was worry that the backlash could damage the show's credibility or permanently divide the fanbase. But the leak, which reportedly came from a disgruntled former crew member, has ignited a wildfire that can't be contained. Christine took to social media shortly after the clip circulated, and her words were blunt and fiery. "I'm done protecting anyone," she wrote. "For years, I was told to take the high road, to keep quiet for the sake of the family, for the sake of the show. But no more. People deserve to know what really happened." Fans quickly rallied around Christine, praising her bravery and honesty. Hashtags like #TeamChristine and #ExposeTheBrowns began trending, with viewers calling for accountability not just from Kody and Robyn but from TLC itself. In a live-stream Q&A with fans, Christine doubled down, saying that the clip is just the tip of the iceberg. "There's so much more that never aired," she claimed. "Kody didn't just neglect me emotionally. He actively manipulated situations to favor Robyn. And Robyn? She's not innocent. She played into it. She encouraged it. They both built a narrative to make themselves look like victims when in reality they were orchestrating everything behind the scenes." She also revealed how the manipulation extended into filming. "There were takes where I said things they wouldn't allow to air, where I called him out for being unfair. They cut all of it. Every time I stood up for myself, it was like it never happened." While Kody and Robyn have remained largely silent in the wake of the footage being leaked, a brief statement from their rep simply said, "The clip in question was filmed during a stressful period. Does not reflect the full scope of Kody and Robyn's relationship with Christine. We ask for privacy and understanding at this time." She responded to that statement by saying, "It's always stress. It's always taken out of context. That's the excuse every time. When is it ever just about being honest? She ended the Q&A with a powerful message to other women in similar situations. Don't let anyone silence your truth. I spent years being polite, being quiet. And for what? So someone else could write my story? Not anymore. Meanwhile, insiders say that the leaked footage may actually be a blessing in disguise, for Christine at least. There's talk of her getting her own spin-off series where she can finally tell her side of the story, unfiltered and uncensored. Viewers are already demanding it, eager to see Christine free from the shadow of Kody and Robyn's manipulations. Even Janelle, Christine's longtime ally and fellow former sister wife, hinted at her support. In a recent Instagram comment, she wrote, "So proud of you for speaking out. It's time." As the drama unfolds, TLC is staying tight-lipped. Whether they'll acknowledge the clip in future episodes or attempt to sweep it under the rug remains to be seen. But one thing is clear, Christine Brown is no longer staying silent. She's taken control of her narrative, called out the deception, and reminded everyone that behind the reality TV curtain, the truth doesn't always make the final cut. But thanks to this leak, the world is finally starting to see who Kody and Robyn really are, and Christine isn't holding back. The damage may already be done, but for Christine, the healing has begun. And with each truth she reveals, she's reclaiming not just her story, but her power. I've said it before and I'll say it again, God, Kody is such a drama queen. I used to think it was just his way of expressing passion or being engaged, as he always called it. But over time I realized it was more than that. It was a pattern. It was his identity. And it was exhausting. When you live in a plural marriage, you expect compromise. You expect challenges. But you don't expect to walk on eggshells every day because your husband acts like every slight inconvenience is a full-on betrayal. That's life with Kody Brown. Every issue becomes a theatrical event. He didn't just disagree, he exploded. He didn't just express hurt, he performed it. And heaven forbid someone challenge him on it. If you dared to say, "Hey, that wasn't fair," suddenly you became the villain in his twisted narrative. That was especially true for me. I think somewhere along the way he stopped seeing me as his wife and started seeing me as his opposition. He was always talking about loyalty. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. That was his buzzword. But what he meant by loyalty was obedience. Fall in line, don't question, don't push back. Just smile and nod. For years I tried. I genuinely tried to keep the peace, to stay sweet, to be the good wife. But eventually, even I had to face the truth. His expectations weren't about unity. They were about control. I remember during one family meeting I expressed frustration, calmly, honestly. I said something like, "I don't feel like my voice matters anymore." Kody's response? He stood up, huffed, threw his arms in the air and said, "You're making me out to be the villain again." But he didn't want awareness. He wanted applause. He wanted to be the martyr, the one who sacrificed so much for the family while the rest of us just, what? Nagged him? That was the version he told himself. That was the script he rehearsed. I can't count the number of times he'd say, "I've done everything for this family." And yes, he did work hard, I'll give him that. But what he never acknowledged was that we all worked hard. We all sacrificed. We raised kids, built homes, managed emotions, supported each other. And yet, somehow, he always acted like he was the only one carrying the weight. And if something didn't go his way, cue the meltdown. He'd get defensive, loud, almost theatrical. It was like he wanted everyone to stop, gasp, and say, "Oh no, Kody, you poor man." But the truth is, many of us had been quietly suffering while he was throwing emotional temper tantrums. At one point, I started calling it his spiral. When things didn't go the way he wanted, he'd spiral. He'd sulk, disappear, refuse to communicate, or worse, he'd come back with a long lecture about how ungrateful we were. He had this uncanny ability to turn everything back on us. If I was sad, it became about how I wasn't showing him enough respect. If I was tired, it was because I wasn't grateful for what he provided. Living with that level of emotional manipulation was like being caught in a tornado that never stopped spinning. He'd always say he hated drama, but the irony is, he was the biggest source of it. I remember once, he stormed out of the room because I asked if he'd help with a small home repair. I wasn't angry. I wasn't demanding. I just said, "Hey, could you fix that drawer when you have time?" And boom, he was offended that I didn't appreciate all he does. He didn't want a wife. He wanted a fan club. He wanted women to line up and praise him. Robyn figured that out early. She learned to play the part, to flatter him, to let him believe he was the center of everything. And in return, he gave her loyalty, time, attention, all the things the rest of us begged for. 'Cause I realized no matter what I said or did, I would never win in his eyes. He had already written his story, and in that story he was the noble hero and I was the ungrateful villain. It was easier for him to believe that than to actually examine his own behavior. He'd say things like, "Christine's always been distant," but what he never said was, "Maybe I made her feel unwanted." He'd say, "She's always been headstrong," but never, "Maybe she had to be because I wasn't listening." He rewrote history to fit his ego. That's the kind of drama I'm talking about. Not the tears, not the yelling, but the complete inability to reflect. When I left, people asked me if I was scared. And you know what? I was. But not in the way most think. I wasn't scared of being alone. I was scared of continuing to live a half-life, of shrinking myself just to make someone else feel bigger. I didn't want to wake up 10 years later still waiting for him to hear me, to see me, to choose me. 'Cause the truth is, he stopped choosing me a long time ago. He just didn't want to admit it. He wanted the title of plural husband without the emotional work. He wanted the praise without the partnership. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. That someone who claimed to value family so much couldn't see how deeply he was hurting it. That someone who preached about commitment and sacrifice refused to make any when it counted. The tension within the Brown family continues to surface, and this time it's Robyn Brown's eldest daughters stepping forward to share their painful truths. In a recent interview, they claim that several family members directly told them they weren't accepted as part of the larger Brown family. What was once seen as a spiritual union of polygamy and unity has steadily dissolved into a fractured web of resentment, exclusion, and emotional neglect. Robyn's children, especially her two eldest daughters from her previous marriage, have long stayed quiet in the background, rarely participating in the more dramatic aspects of the family's televised life. But now, with the Brown family nearly shattered, they are finally speaking out, saying what many viewers and fans have long suspected: not everyone was truly accepted in the plural marriage. According to the girls, who have remained anonymous publicly but are understood to be Robyn's daughters from her former marriage before joining the Brown clan, things were never as unified as they were portrayed on TLC. They allege that certain family members, adults and children alike, made it clear from early on that they were not welcomed with open arms. "They told us directly that we weren't part of the family," one of the daughters stated in a private conversation now making headlines. "We weren't like the other kids. We came from Robyn's past, and that made us different." They said it plainly. Not in a subtle way. Not hidden. It was clear. These heartbreaking statements have reignited the conversation around favoritism, family politics, and emotional manipulation in the Brown household. Robyn, who joined the family later than Mary, Janelle, and Christine, always claimed she was looking for acceptance, unity, and love for her children. She wanted them to be loved as much as Kody's biological children from his other wives. But now, with her daughters revealing the emotional truth they experienced behind closed doors, many fans are revisiting old footage, re-examining every glance, every tension-filled moment, and every quiet silence when the children from different mothers gathered. It wasn't just passive exclusion either. According to the girls, they were often left out of events, ignored in group conversations, and even made to feel like burdens. "We weren't invited to certain things. We found out after the fact. Even when we asked why, they just shrugged or said it wasn't for us." The emotional toll of that kind of treatment lingers. For teenagers trying to adjust to a new home, a new father figure, and an entirely new family dynamic, the rejection was devastating. "We didn't choose this life," one daughter added. "Our mom did. We were expected to just accept it and be okay. But they didn't accept us." The family's supporters are divided. Some blame the original wives, Mary, Janelle, and Christine, for creating emotional barriers. Others argue that Kody and Robyn must have failed to protect her children emotionally in a highly complex situation. Robyn has always stated publicly that she believed in blending families and wanted peace. But her critics say she failed to ensure her own children felt safe and welcomed in the new dynamic. By allowing them to be treated differently, or by not being fully aware of how bad it was, she may have contributed to the very alienation they now describe. For her part, Robyn has hinted at this kind of emotional struggle in past episodes. She once said, "I was shocked how hard it was for my kids. I thought love would be enough. I thought bringing them into a big family meant more love. But it hasn't always been that way." Her daughter's recent comments make it clear just how deeply those early wounds went. "We weren't just outsiders," one daughter says. "We were made to feel like problems. Like we were just dragging the family down." The Brown family has been under a microscope for years. Viewers have seen marriages crumble, alliances shift, and painful accusations fly across living rooms and confessionals. But rarely have the children been as openly vocal as they are now. This makes the claims especially poignant. As fans process this, many are taking to social media to express their heartbreak and anger. Some accuse the Brown adults of failing in their duty to protect the children, all of the children, not just their biological ones. "They signed up for plural marriage, not the kids," one fan posted. "Those girls didn't ask for this." Family insiders say the revelations are likely to spark further division. "These truths are going to hurt," one person close to the Browns noted. "It's not about blame anymore, it's about acknowledging real pain. Ignoring it won't make it go away." As for Robyn's daughters, they say they're not trying to stir controversy, they just want to be honest. "We want people to understand that we were real kids with real feelings and we were hurt. We're not trying to destroy anyone. But we also won't stay quiet anymore." Their message is a powerful one. Behind the headlines, reality shows, and family slogans, there were children hurting, children being left out, children feeling invisible. Whether or not this new wave of honesty will spark healing or more division remains to be seen. Kody Brown has yet to issue any public comment about his stepdaughter's claims. Neither have Mary, Janelle, or Christine. TLC has not responded to requests for a statement. But the truth is now out there. These daughters are no longer staying silent, and their voices are changing the narrative. For years, the story of the Browns was told from the adults' perspectives, wives and husband fighting for space in a complex emotional puzzle. Now the children, those who often bore the consequences of the adults' decisions, are speaking up. Their truths may be the most important of all. As the dust continues to settle from the collapse of Kody's plural marriage, stories like these remind us that the damage done is far more than relational, it's deeply personal. For Robyn's daughters, the family that was supposed to embrace them as their own did the opposite. And for fans who once believed in the dream of sister wives, these new revelations are a sobering reminder that love, no matter how idealized on screen, can't thrive without acceptance, protection, and true inclusion. Kody Brown's ex-wife is finally speaking out. After years of holding back, she's ready to set the record straight about her experience on Sister Wives. According to her, Kody always made the show about himself, twisting the narrative, pushing his own version of events, and silencing the voices of the women around him. Now she's done staying silent. From the beginning, she says, the show was pitched as a way to explore plural marriage and give insight into a lifestyle that many viewers were unfamiliar with. The family was supposed to be united, built on equal love and shared values. But behind the scenes, she claims Kody was more interested in being the star than being a husband or father. Cameras followed him closely, but the reality of life behind closed doors was something entirely different. "He wanted to be the face of polygamy," she says. He wanted to be the guy who changed the narrative and made it look appealing. But what he was really doing was building an empire around himself. We were just props to him, wives who existed to support his ego. She describes a pattern that emerged early on. Kody would dominate conversations, redirect interviews, and make executive decisions without consulting anyone. If any of the wives voiced concerns, they were either edited out or dismissed. He controlled the story, she says. He told America what our life was like, and if our version didn't match his, it didn't get airtime. For years, she says she tolerated it. She believed in the family, in their mission, in the idea that they were doing something meaningful. But eventually, the emotional toll became too much. I started to lose myself, she confesses. You go on TV thinking you're going to be part of something powerful. Instead, I felt invisible. He made me invisible. Turning point, she explains, was when she realized the relationship was no longer mutual. It became clear he didn't love me the way he claimed to. It was all about what I could do for the family name, how I could support the narrative he was trying to push. She goes on to say that the dynamic was always about power, Kody at the center, the rest orbiting around him. She also highlights how, over time, the original structure of the family broke down. He prioritized one wife and everyone knew it, she says. There was no balance, no equality. We were supposed to be sister wives, but the favoritism was obvious. She doesn't name Robyn directly, but the implication is clear. That favoritism tore everything apart. Stopped being a plural marriage and started being a traditional one, with 3 extras hanging around. Despite trying to make things work, she says she ultimately had to walk away for the sake of her own well-being. I couldn't keep pretending. I couldn't keep sacrificing my happiness for someone who didn't see me. In leaving, she found clarity. It was painful, but it was necessary. I had to rediscover who I was outside of the show, outside of him. I had been so defined by the marriage, by the cameras, by the fan expectations. I forgot how to just be me. She reveals that even after her departure, Kody tried to control the narrative. He made it seem like I was the one who gave up, like I was disloyal. But that's not true. I was loyal for years until I realized he wasn't loyal to me. What she wants now is for the truth to be heard. I'm not here to trash anyone. I'm here to share my side. People think they know what happened, but they don't. They saw a version of events that was carefully curated to protect his image. My pain was edited out. My voice was minimized. Reflecting on her time on the show, she says there were good moments, but they were few compared to the emotional hardship. There were times when we laughed, when we felt like a real family. But those moments were buried under years of dysfunction, favoritism, and emotional neglect. When asked if she regrets doing Sister Wives, she hesitates. I don't regret it entirely. I think it opened people's eyes to a lifestyle they didn't understand. But I do regret how much of myself I lost in the process. I regret allowing someone else to tell my story for so long. She hopes that by speaking out, others in similar situations will feel empowered to reclaim their voice. Don't let someone else define you. Don't stay in a situation that makes you feel small just because it's comfortable or familiar. You deserve to be seen, to be loved, to be heard. She's also critical of how the show handled certain serious topics. There were times when real emotional issues were brushed